Good morning, Year 4, and welcome to your English lesson today. Today we're learning to write to entertain. This is our final week on Roman myths, so we're building ourselves up to finishing writing the whole thing this week. Today, to get us started, we're going to do a bit of shared writing together, ready so you can be more independent over the next couple of days. What we're going to look at today is the first section, section 1 on your plan. So what I've done is I've taken the original section here from the model text all about the man who cuts down trees. So I won't read this to you. You've got it here to look at. You can pause it on the screen. I've sent you the model text as well so you can have a read through it. Let's have a look then how we're going to start doing it. So on my plan, these were the 4 main points I wanted to get written in section 1. Tiberius didn't like the animals eating the forest flowers. He hunted them day and night. People told him to stop as the animals were a gift from the gods. Tiberius ignored them. So I've got 4 things that I want to get into this paragraph that I wrote on my plan that all of you have done on your plan. So I'm going to have a go at writing those today. It's probably going to be about a couple of sentences, at least 1 sentence per section there. So let's look at the first point. Tiberius didn't like the animals eating the forest flowers. So I looked at the model text and I thought about that and I wrote these couple of sentences here. Many years ago in the ancient Roman Empire, the animals in the forest were sent by the gods as gift for the people. They provided the blessed citizens with clothes to wear and food to eat. However, one man despised all the creatures of the woodland as they munched and chomped on the beautiful flowers in his small garden. So remember in the original text, the first bit was all about how wonderful the trees were and how they were blessed by the gods. Well, now I've got the animals being so wonderful and blessed. And then we had that man, Aristheon, who decided he didn't like trees, we're going to cut them down. And now I've got my man here, Tiberius, who doesn't like the animals because they're eating his small garden. So I've taken that one bit from my plan at the top and I've turned it into a couple of full sentences there with some good vocabulary in them. So let's have a look at the next bit of my plan. He hunted them day and night. He decided one day to rid himself of these menaces once and for all. Dragging a huge sack of food behind him, Tiberius laid out a feast fit for a king on the mossy floor. Once he was done, he sprinkled deadly poison across everything and strolled home, whistling to himself. So when I thought about this bit, originally when I planned it, I was going to have him going out in the woods and shooting all the animals with a bow and arrow. And the more I thought about it, I didn't like it. He'd spend days and days and days wandering the forest trying to shoot all the little bunny rabbits and all those other things. So instead, he's going to poison them. But I didn't just say he didn't like them, so he's going to poison them. I've written a couple of sentences there explaining he's dragging out the food, he's laying down a feast, he's put down the poison, then he walks home. So it's a nice, interesting story for the reader there to get this real sense of drama that something devastating is going to happen to these animals. So that's the second point of my plan. Let's move on to the third point that was in my plan. My third section was, people told him to stop as the animals were a gift from the gods. And if you remember in the original one, people told Aristheon to stop cutting down trees because they were a gift from the gods. Here, people are going to tell him to stop killing the animals because they're a gift from the gods. So the sentences I made from this, and I thought, I'm going to whack in some speech punctuation here. This seems like a great place to put it in. The citizens of the village had seen what Tiberius had done and pleaded with him to collect the poisoned food back in. The gods will be furious with you if you murder all the divine creatures to save your precious garden. Please don't do this, the terrified villagers begged. So this is the part of the story here. They're the plan at the top there. The people are trying to tell him to stop doing it. So here I've got them begging him, please don't do it. But I've really made out a whole sentence about why he shouldn't do it. Several sentences from that one little point. So the last thing I needed to get across was Tiberius ignored them. I don't just want to write Tiberius ignored them. That's rather boring. I'm going to put how he ignored them with a couple of sentences. Now remember, he's not a very honest character. He's vicious and he's dishonest. So he's not a very nice person. I'm trying to get that across in what he does here. Rubbish, you fools. The gods will not care. Tiberius spat at the worried villagers. Get out of my way, or I shall be forced to poison you cowards as well, he hissed as he pushed his way through the crowd and back to his house. Can you see there how I've made him a very vicious, horrible character by spitting at people and threatening to kill them too? One by one, the woodland animals grazed and sucked on the deadly buffet, and one by one they collapsed on the floor, drawing their last desperate breaths. I thought it was really important in this bit to actually have some animals die. If you just have them poison him, and then the next one is all about the gods getting annoyed, well, you've got to actually kill a couple of animals. So I'm having here all the animals dying. But I've tried to make it so that it's a bit more poetic and a bit more interesting than just, oh, the animals exploded, there was blood and guts everywhere. So they're all taking their last desperate breaths. So all of that put together gives me this section 1 for my plan. Can you see here there's 4 bits all put together. Now the red bit and the green bits were the points 1 and 2 from my plan. I thought they all seemed to be one paragraph. They were all about one thing, so I put them together. But points 3 and 4 were completely separate because there's different people talking, so I put them as separate paragraphs. We haven't done a lot of work at all on paragraphs, so don't worry too much if you're struggling with them, but try and split the work out into paragraphs. Each paragraph should be about one thing. Okay, so that is my finished first section 1, gone from my plan onto my writing. So you can see here the steps I've taken to, my plan obviously is broken down into those 4 steps. I've taken each step in turn and written a couple of sentences for what I need, always thinking about the audience and making it interesting. Now the success criteria we've been using is this one. I can show characteristics through physical description. I can show characteristics through actions. I can use interesting vocabulary, and I can use speech punctuation. So if I've got time at the end of my writing, and it should take about an hour or so to get that writing done, this is where I now got the opportunity for that first section of my myth to go through and start looking at some of the success criteria to see if there's anywhere where I can make improvements. Now, like we always do in class when we're looking to make improvements, the first thing we need to do is look for areas of success. So if I go back to my writing, if I'm thinking about where I have given physical description of Tiberius, when I look through, I realize I haven't described him at all. There's absolutely no physical description of Tiberius. There's some physical description of the citizens, but there's nothing in here to say what he looks like. So I haven't got his characteristics across at all. I haven't done that at all in my success criteria. It's definitely somewhere to work on. The next one was characteristics of actions. Well, I have got him here poisoning animals. I've got him, he spat and he's threatened to poison people. He is pushing his way back through the people. This is showing how vicious he is. He's whistling to himself as he strolls home. Okay, he's just put out poison to murder all the animals, and he's whistling happily to himself as he goes. That's showing you what a kind of deplorable, horrible character he is at this point. So actually, I don't think I've done too badly for showing characteristics through actions. The next characteristic on there was to use, the next success criteria was to use interesting vocabulary. Now, I'm pretty happy with the vocabulary I've used. So just picking a couple of examples, I really like here. I was particularly pleased with myself when I had the blessed citizens, meaning that they have all these wonderful things about them. They're so happy and they're so lucky. I liked how we've got the woodland animals munched and chomped. I put a couple of words there, a couple of verbs that are better than just eat. So I think I'm doing okay there. I've got words like grazed, another good, powerful verb. Supped, meaning to eat. I think that is an absolutely lovely one. I've got some examples of adverbs. I've got deadly, buffet down here. I could probably do a bit more adverbs in there, but I'm not doing too badly for vocabulary. And then the last one, of course, is have I used punctuated speech? Well, and you can be the judge. You can have a pause and have a look. But I think I've used speech well, and I think I have punctuated it correctly. So if I'm looking at my success criteria, I would say when I'm highlighting it, showing characteristic physical description, no, not at all. Through actions, yes, I did okay there. I did really well. Interesting vocabulary. I've given myself the 1 little mark rather than 2 because I think there's some definitely more adverbs I can put in there. Maybe some similes. Speech punctuation, nailed it. So if I've got a bit of time at the end of my writing, having a quick look through, I can see here that I definitely need to work on my physical description of Tiberius and probably a little bit of work on my interesting vocabulary, but I don't need to change his actions and I don't need to mess around with the speech. They're perfect. So this is a lovely opportunity now to take your work, which I'm sure will be pretty amazing by the time you've written it, because if you've done all that planning, you should be able to write this paragraph really easily. It's taken that work from amazing to just truly fantastic by just putting those couple of changes. Now, obviously in class, we get the purple pen out. You can get whatever you need out to go and do it. If you're typing up at the computer, you just read back and type into it. So if I was thinking about making some changes, these are the changes I have made. For my better vocabulary, I've got a frolicking animals. I've got the gifts become offerings. They got snug clothes, sustaining food, devour rather than just eat. So I've managed to get a bit more, slightly more interesting vocabulary. And I think I could probably tick off better vocabulary there. And what I did to find these, some of them I already knew, but others I got the thesaurus out. And, you know, I could even go and ask an adult who's in the house with me. So what better vocabulary? I also knew that I wanted to have something in here that made it more about what a horrible person he is through physical description. So I've got one cruel man here. He is a cruel person. And here, as he's whistling home, his stolen cape flapped in the breeze. This is not just a case of adding in one word. I put in an extra clause here. And the reason it's adding he's a horrible person, a deplorable, dishonest person, is he's a stolen cape. It's not his cape that's flapping around in the breeze. I've got his chap lips here because I thought if you were a dishonest, not a very nice character, you're probably not putting chapstick on, having beautiful plump lips. You probably got those horrible cracked dry lips, so I made him sound like that. And I've gave him a decorative house. Now, although that's not physically describing him, I thought if you're dishonest and you steal things, then you're going to have a house full of stuff that is decorative, aren't you? Because you've stolen it from other people. Finishing off today then, you need to do today is you need to look at the first section of your plan. If you haven't quite finished it, I suggest you quickly go back and finish that bit of the plan. Take the main bullet points that you put in the plan and write the first section of your myth. Just that first bit, like I've done here, you just need to do the first section of your myth. If you've got time after doing that, then get your correction pen out and see if you can improve the vocabulary, see if you're definitely showing the characteristics through the things they do and through the way they're describing, and make sure if you've got any speech, it's punctuated correctly. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you're going to get to with this one.